Imagine this. You wake up one morning, the same as any other, but today, something is different. A thought slips into your mind, quiet at first, then deafening. What if everything you've been told about love is a lie? Not just a small lie, not a harmless fairy tale, but grand, all-consuming myth, one so deeply embedded in culture, art, and even your own biology that you never thought to question it. The myth that love, romantic love, is the ultimate answer, the final destination, the thing that will make you whole. You felt its pull since childhood. The stories of princes and princesses, the songs about soulmates, the movies where love conquers all. You've been conditioned to believe that without it, you are incomplete. That longing in your chest, just proof you haven't found the one yet. That emptiness after a breakup, a sign you failed at love. That quiet dread when you imagine growing old alone, a warning that you're running out of time. But what if that ache isn't a call to find love, but a symptom of the myth itself? Here's the paradox. Romantic love is sold to us as liberation, yet it has become one of the most powerful forms of psychological enslavement. We are told it is the highest form of human connection, yet it often isolates us from ourselves, from deeper friendships, from the vast mystery of existence beyond partnership. We believe it is natural, inevitable, yet no other animal on earth suffers the way humans do over love. No lion lies awake at night wondering if it's enough for its mate. No bird writes poetry about its existential despair after a breakup. So why do we? Is love really what we think it is? Or have we been handed a script, a role to play, without ever questioning who wrote it? Think of the last time love broke you. Not just a relationship ending, but the deeper fracture, the moment you realize that love, the thing you were promised would save you, had instead left you more lost than before. The promises had turned to dust. The person who was supposed to be your other half, who instead became a mirror reflecting back everything you hated about yourself. The way love, which was supposed to be an anchor, became a storm. Why does this happen? Why does something so universally desired so often lead to suffering? Is it because we're doing it wrong, or because we've been sold a story that was never true to begin with? Beneath every love song, every late-night text, every trembling "I love you," there's a silent, desperate plea. Will you make me whole? We don't say it out loud. We barely admit it to ourselves. But this is the unspoken contract of romantic love. The belief that another person can fill the void within us, that their presence will silence our fears, their touch will heal our wounds, their love will finally make us enough. But here's the truth no one tells you. No one can complete you, because you were never incomplete. The myth of romantic love doesn't just promise connection. It manufactures lack. It convinces you that you are a half, searching for your missing piece, rather than a whole being capable of profound love without self-abandonment. And that is why it hurts so much when love fails. Not because love itself is flawed, but because we've been taught to build our entire sense of worth on a foundation that was never meant to hold it. So, where does this myth come from? Who benefits from it? And most importantly, what happens when you dare see through it? The answers lie not in the heart, but in the shadows of history, psychology, and the very structure of human desire. This is not a story about giving up on love. This is about discovering what love truly is, once the myth is shattered. The myth of romantic love did not emerge from nowhere. It is not some ancient, universal truth whispered by the cosmos. It is a carefully constructed narrative, shaped by history, psychology, and the very mechanisms of human desire. To understand why we believe in it so fiercely, we must dig into the soil of its origins, where philosophy, capitalism, and the unconscious mind conspire to keep us chasing an illusion, long before dating apps and rom-coms. Thinkers like Arthur Schopenhauer and Friedrich Nietzsche dissected love with surgical precision, and what they found was unsettling. Schopenhauer, in his brutal honesty, called romantic love the genius of the species, a trick played by nature to ensure reproduction, not happiness. The euphoria of infatuation, the agony of heartbreak, merely biological forces masquerading as destiny. Nietzsche went further, declaring that love is a state in which man sees things most decidedly as they are not. In other words, love is not truth, it is delusion, a necessary fiction to keep us bound to life's cycle of suffering. Even Jean-Paul Sartre, the existentialist, saw love as a power struggle, an attempt to possess another's freedom while surrendering your own. Hell is other people, he famously wrote, not because people are evil, but because love in its traditional form demands ownership. You must be mine and I must be yours. But can anyone truly belong to another without losing themselves? These thinkers were not cynics. They were realists. They understood that love, as society defines it, is often less about connection and more about control. Control over our loneliness, our fears, our existential dread. Modern psychology reveals an even darker truth. Romantic love operates like an addiction. Studies on brain scans show that the neural pathways activated in early-stage romance are identical to those lit up by cocaine. Intense highs, crushing withdrawals, and an insatiable craving for more. Helen Fisher, an anthropologist who studies love, calls it one of the most addictive substances on earth. But why? Because love, in its mythologized form, offers the same false promise as any drug. This will fix you, just as an alcoholic drinks to escape reality. We seek love to escape ourselves, our insecurities, our voids, our unresolved traumas. And like any addiction, the more we rely on it, the less capable we become of facing life without it. Gabor Mate, the renowned expert on addiction, argues that all addictions are attempts to regulate pain. Romantic love, when treated as salvation, is no different. We don't just want love, we need it, because without it, we are forced to confront the terrifying question: who am I when I'm not loved? Beyond biology and psychology, there's a third force at work: society's vested interest in keeping the myth alive. From arranged marriages securing alliances in medieval Europe to the modern $4 billion dating industry, romantic love has always been entangled with economics and power. The idea of finding your soulmate is not just emotional propaganda. It is a marketable product. Consider the marriage industrial complex. Weddings, diamonds, honeymoons. Love is commodified into transactions. The pressure to marry isn't just tradition. It's big business. The loneliness economy. If people were truly content alone, who would buy the self-help books, the dating apps, the therapy sessions promising to fix their love life? The productivity lie. Stable relationships mean stable workers. A society of coupled individuals is easier to manage than one of free, unattached thinkers. Even Aldous Huxley warned of this in Brave New World, where the state encourages shallow, pleasure-driven relationships to keep people docile and distracted from deeper truths. Here's the hidden cost of the romantic love myth. It steals from us the ability to love authentically. When love is framed as completion, every relationship becomes a test. Do you make me whole? And when the answer is inevitably no, we assume we failed, rather than questioning the premise itself. This is why so many relationships turn toxic. Two half-people, each demanding the other fill their emptiness, will always end in resentment. As Carl Jung warned, the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. But transformation is painful, and most would rather cling to fantasy than face the alchemy of real love. So if romantic love as we know it is a myth, what is the alternative? Is there a way to love without losing oneself? To desire without delusion? To connect without chains? The answer lies not in abandoning love, but in redefining it. Stripping away the fairy tales and facing the raw, terrifying, and ultimately liberating truth of what love could be. The myth of romantic love is not just a story we tell. It is a silent architect, shaping our lives in ways we rarely notice. Like an invisible hand, it molds our decisions, our fears, even our sense of self, leaving behind a trail of consequences we don't fully comprehend until it's too late. The personal toll, how the myth warps our lives. 1. The pursuit of the phantom. You've felt it, that gnawing sense that something is missing, the creeping doubt that maybe, just maybe, you're falling behind because you haven't found the one. But what if the one doesn't exist? What if you've been chasing a ghost? The myth teaches us that love is singular, that there is one perfect person who will unlock your happiness. But this belief turns relationships into a relentless audition where every partner is scrutinized for their ability to fulfill an impossible role. The moment they fail, and they will, because no human can bear that weight, the search begins anew. 2. The fear of being alone. We dread solitude not because it is inherently terrible, but because we've been conditioned to see it as failure. A life without romantic love is framed as a life unlived, a barren wasteland of missed potential. But here's the truth no one tells you. The fear of being alone is often the fear of facing yourself. When love is your escape, solitude becomes a mirror, reflecting back everything you've been running from. Your insecurities, your unresolved pain, the parts of yourself you've disowned. 3. The erosion of other bonds. The myth doesn't just elevate romantic love. It diminishes all others. Friendships, family ties, even the relationship with oneself are treated as secondary, as if they are mere placeholders until real love arrives. But what happens when we pour all our need for connection into a single person? That bond buckles under the pressure. No one person can, or should, be everything to another, yet we keep demanding it, and then wonder why our relationships crumble. The societal fallout, how the myth shapes culture. 1. The commodification of intimacy. Love has been stripped down, packaged, and sold back to us as a product. Dating apps thrive on the illusion of infinite choice, turning human connection into a marketplace where people are reduced to profiles, swipes, and disposable interactions. The more we consume, the emptier we feel, yet we keep swiping, convinced the next match might be the one. 2. The stigma of singlehood. A person who chooses to be alone is viewed with suspicion. What's wrong with them? The assumption is that if you're not partnered, you must be broken, lonely, selfish, or worse, unlovable. This stigma keeps people trapped in unsatisfying relationships, afraid that leaving means admitting defeat. 3. The crisis of expectation. Never before have we demanded so much from love, and never before has it disappointed so many. Previous generations saw marriage as a practical alliance. Today, we ask it to be our source of passion, purpose, therapy, and transcendence. Is it any wonder modern relationships are in crisis? The psychological trap, why we can't let go. Even when we see the cracks in the myth, we cling to it. Why? 1. The sunk cost fallacy. We've invested so much time, emotion, identity into the idea of romantic love that admitting it might be flawed feels like losing a part of ourselves. It's easier to double down than to face the void. 2. The brain's betrayal. Neuroscience shows that love hijacks the same reward pathways as addiction. The highs are euphoric. The withdrawals are agony. Like any addict, we keep coming back, chasing the first rush, even as the magic fades. 3. The terror of freedom. If romantic love isn't the answer, then what is? The myth gives us a script, a role to play. Without it, we're thrust into the terrifying unknown, forced to confront the question, how do I live a meaningful life on my own terms? For many, that freedom is more frightening than the confines of the myth. The turning point. The consequences are clear. The myth of romantic love doesn't just mislead us. It confines us. It narrows our world, limits our connections, and chains us to a cycle of hope and disillusionment. But there is a way out, not by rejecting love, but by redefining it, by tearing down the fairy tale and rebuilding something real, something that doesn't demand our surrender, but empowers our wholeness. The myth of romantic love has held power over us for so long precisely because we never questioned it. But rebellion begins with a single dangerous thought. What if I stop believing? This is not about becoming cold or loveless. It is about loving more deeply, more freely, without the weight of expectation crushing what could have been sacred. To break free, we must first dismantle the illusions, then rebuild love on sturdier ground. Step 1. The radical acceptance. Before you can redefine love, you must face the hardest truth of all. No one is coming to save you. Not a soulmate, not a partner, not even the most passionate romance. This is not pessimism. It is liberation. The moment you stop demanding that love fill your voids, you reclaim the power to fill them yourself. This is what the existentialists understood. Jean-Paul Sartre wrote that freedom is what you do with what's been done to you. In love, this means recognizing that your suffering comes not from the absence of another, but from the belief that you need another to be whole. Ask yourself, what parts of myself have I abandoned in the hope of being loved? What would my life look like if I stopped waiting for love to give it meaning? Step 2. Love is a choice, not a need. The myth teaches us that love is something that happens to us, a force beyond our control. But Viktor Frankl, the Holocaust survivor and psychiatrist, argued that love is the only way to grasp another human being in the innermost core of his personality. Notice the wording, grasp, not possess. Real love is not about losing yourself in another. It is about seeing them clearly, choosing them daily, without the desperate need for them to complete you. Think of the healthiest relationships you know. Chances are they are built not on dependency, but on two whole people walking side by side. Step 3. The death of the one. There is no one. There are only people flawed, complex, beautiful, with whom you can build something meaningful if you stop demanding they be perfect. Esther Perel, the psychotherapist and relationship expert, puts it bluntly. The quality of our relationships determines the quality of our lives. Not the quantity, not the fairy tale intensity. The quality, the depth, the honesty, the willingness to show up as you are. This means letting go of the fantasy of effortless love, accepting that conflict is not failure. It is the friction that polishes connection, understanding that love is a practice, not a prize. Step 4, rewriting the script. The myth didn't build itself. Culture, religion, capitalism, all have conspired to sell us a story. But stories can be rewritten. Start here. Question the narratives. Why do we assume marriage is the pinnacle of commitment? Why do we equate being single with being incomplete? Reclaim solitude. Learn to be alone without loneliness. It is in silence that you hear your own voice. Expand your definitions of love. Why must passion fade? Why can't friendship be as sacred as romance? Step 5. The ultimate rebellion. Self-love is foundation. This is not the shallow self-love of bubble baths and affirmations. This is a fierce, unflinching commitment to your own wholeness. Carl Jung called it individuation, the process of becoming who you truly are, apart from societal expectations. Until you do this, all love will be a reflection of your unmet needs. Ask yourself, who would I be if I stopped performing for love? What parts of myself have I hidden because I feared they were unlovable? The invitation, breaking free from a myth, is not a one-time act. It is a daily defiance. It means looking at love not as salvation, but as a shared journey between two people brave enough to stand alone. The most radical thing you can do is to love without needing it. And in that space, something unexpected happens. Love becomes more, not less, deeper, freer, because now it is a choice, not a chain. Here is a truth that changes everything. Romantic love was never the problem. Your surrender to the myth was. The myth did not lie to you about love's beauty, only about its purpose. Love is not a destination. It is not a prize for being worthy. It is not the answer to your existential dread. Love is a mirror. It shows you exactly where you are still broken, where you are still begging, where you have yet to meet yourself. The final paradox. The moment you stop needing love to complete you is the moment you become capable of truly loving. This is what the mystics and philosophers have whispered across centuries. Rumi did not say, seek the one who makes you whole. He said, lovers don't finally meet somewhere. They're in each other all along. Kierkegaard warned that to love another is to help them love God, not you. Carl Jung revealed that the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. Transformation, not completion. The alchemy of real love. When two people meet who have already faced their own abyss, who have stared into their shadows and learned to hold their own hands in the dark, something miraculous happens. Their love is no longer a frantic grasping. It becomes a celebration. No more do you love me, but how does love move through us today? No more you complete me, but your presence reminds me of my own wholeness. No more fear of abandonment, because you cannot lose what you have built within. This is the love that survives, not because it is perfect, but because it is free. The last illusion to shatter. You were never unlovable. You were just looking for love in the wrong direction. Out there in the eyes of another, when the real revolution was always within. The myth made you believe that love is something you find. The truth? Love is something you become. The final invitation. Close your eyes. Imagine your life not as a search for love, but as a living embodiment of it. Every friendship, a choice. Every romance, a shared exploration. Every moment alone, a communion with the self you've learned to cherish. This is the love that cannot be taken from you, because it was never about someone else. It was always about you. Now, go, love recklessly. But first, be free.